Welcome. Right here on the Church O'Clock Show, we are having an awesome time. And yes, indeed, we're receiving your feedback as you're watching us. And you're saying that you're enjoying the show. And I can see Benjamin Kamara. You're saying you're watching us from Sagana, that is Kirinyaga County. And I can also see Ras Bashir, wherever Busia. You're saying you're watching from Busia. And happy Mother's Day to, first of all, your mother, Farida, and to your wife, Rastabi, and all responsible mothers in the world. Yes, that's how we do it right here on the Church O'Clock Show, because we want to celebrate our mothers. And we are having an awesome time even as we talk about the topic of the day, which is volunteering. And what better time than to have a missionary in studio. He'll tell us where he's coming from. And he has also taken time to volunteer and to give his services to people who need the gospel of Jesus Christ, because that is what we are called to do as Christians. So, karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Becky.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Macharia.
Yes, Mr. Macharia.
Missionary.
Missionary Macharia.
Yes.
I thought missionaries are supposed to look like sunburned.
Oh, really?
When you hear the word missionary, what do you think?
Okay, sometimes there's just this notion of people who are not like Nairobians, the way we know it, but
Someone
here
like,
you are.
Someone like John the Baptist. You know, a man.
Let's not go there. That guy used to eat insects, or is it
What was he
honey?
eating?
Locusts and wild honey.
Exactly.
I know something that comes to mind when I hear of missionaries.
Missionaries.
Yes.
But thank you so much. You hear, Mr. Macharia. Karibu sana. We went, I don't know where to start. I'm excited, I'm awed. I want to hear from you, because I know you have so much in terms of your experience as a volunteer, and not just as a volunteer, but even specifically as a missionary. Tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Sammy Macharia, and I am born again. I love the Lord. I work at Garissa, just close to Tana River. I work at Tana River. Just
That's
a few,
part of Kenya.
Yeah, it's part of Kenya.
Yes, thank you for confirming.
Yeah, Tana River is a few, where I live, a place called Madogo, is a few minutes drive, like 10 minutes drive to Garissa town. So I live at Madogo, and I am based at a school called Lagbadana Primary School.
So hold it right there. I think you would want to send your shout outs to the people who are watching you in the local language that is spoken there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and also to your mother, because it's Happy Mother's Day. Yes.
Yeah, to all the people of Tana River, Lagbadana and Garissa, a Tambultan.
At Hamburg.
That means, how have you woken up? Or good morning.
Good morning.
And then they will say, Dansubul.
Dan Subur. Okay.
Or you can say, Atam. Atam is, how are you? You say, dancer. Yeah.
And to your mother.
Yeah, I want to wish my mom a happy Mother's Day, and I want to really appreciate the sacrifice and the friendship. She's been a friend to me, and I wish her God's blessings.
Okay, so clearly you were not born speaking that language, in that you did not grow up in Tana River.
Yeah.
Tell us how your journey has been.
Because I'm sure she will also feature. Your mom must have had a part in the journey.
Yeah, a big part.
Because you're young. Okay.
A big part indeed.
Disclaimer, he's not an old man.
He's not an old man, so we're not thinking that, okay, we're looking at you vis-a-vis people of your age group who are already in the job market, fitting into the expectations of what many of them expected them to do. Like you have already done your undergraduate, you have, we can say as per society's eyes, you are well in terms of your education, and now they're expecting that the next thing you ought to do is get a job, support us financially, and all this kind of thing. So just take us from the foundation. Yes, how your journey has been.
So I would say that my journey began when I was in first year, right here in Kenyatta University, and that's when I got born again. That's when I got to know the Lord, and that is when now, you know, the whole issue of your ambitions and everything, you know, they sort of like cease, and you want to submit to the Lord and want to know what will the Lord want to do with my life. And so after getting born again, I was discipled, of course, and then now after my
I like that part. You were discipled. Tell us who
discipled
discipled you.
Oh yeah, I was discipled by one Mr. Muroga, who was by then working under the Trinity Fellowship, Nairobi Center. Yeah, and I really appreciate
Was he a volunteer?
he
How
was
was
he was a volunteer,
for
and he still one.
Even
This
up
world
to
will
now.
be changed
Yeah.
by volunteers.
Okay.
Even as we get money.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So now after that, after walking through discipleship and now walking with the Lord, in my fourth year, after my fourth year first semester, I was on long holiday in the year in 2015, January to April, and that is when I was approached and asked to come and help in KU to do student ministry, specifically discipleship under the Trinity Fellowship. So that is where my journey began, in that long holiday, and I was there from January 2015.
You had not cleared school.
I had not cleared school. I still cleared as I did the volunteership. So I worked there up to April of 2016.
So it's like you get to first year, you get born again, and then at some point somebody holds your hand and walks with you, teaches you the ways of God.
Yeah.
And then at some point you also want to give back.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you did that from 2015
2015 January to
2016.
2016 April.
as a volunteer.
Right, as a volunteer.
Aish.
Yes, and then after that, after clearing that, I was just seeking the Lord and wanting to know what next after that.
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity still to volunteer in a school called Faith Ventures, just close to Trinity Fellowship. So I was there for 2 terms. I had committed to volunteer for 1 term, but after the term was over, I definitely realized I was to continue for another term. Yeah, and when I was still there, at some point in my that term of 2016, I really felt that I was to go somewhere else, to exit Faith Ventures, and I really felt a burden for people who are out there and they need help, specifically those who've not heard about the Lord Jesus Christ. And I took time to just pray and ask the Lord, and finally it was going out there, and I got an opportunity to go to Tana River.
I mean, statistically, because we're in Nairobi, I mean, having grown up hearing the gospel of Jesus Christ, and even if that was not a privilege for some of us from the home, at least we go to school or we go to church and we got to hear about the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And so the question is, are there people who have not heard this gospel in Kenya?
Yeah, there are people who have not heard. Many, like where I live. Yeah, Madogo and its expanse, the whole of, the better part of Tana River. Yeah, there are people who have not heard, and even those who've heard, they've not heard that comprehensive teaching about what it is all about. You know, you just like hearing that rumor out there, and you know, it just passes and all that. But we thank God for the work that is happening there.
Now you're saying you had the Lord.
Very heavy
Well,
word.
that is very heavy. To someone who might be watching it,
Yeah,
you're saying, you had the Lord. So did the Lord say, Macharia? Now Tana River and Garissa is waiting for you. So, because we're also looking at the fact that how does someone identify or discern that the will of God is for them to be in full-time ministry and volunteering, not necessarily being under anyone to receive that financial support, like not being under anyone who's obligated to support them financially. So when you say the Lord spoke, what
And
did
even
the
specific.
Yes.
Like this, it's not Mombasa.
it's
not
Garissa.
Nakuru,
Yes.
It's Garissa.
Yeah.
So when you say the Lord spoke, what did he do? What did he say?
Okay,
How
he
did
spoke.
he say?
How did you get it?
Yes, I'm sure he spoke.
Yeah, the Lord spoke, and the Lord,
My
the
sister,
Lord,
the Lord has spoken.
the Lord,
official.
the Lord spoke through His word.
Yes.
You know, as you take time to, as I took time to pray and read the Bible, there were verses that would lead me first of all, to the desire, because I believe God speaks through our conscience. You know, in our spirit, there is a way you feel, this is what I want. You know, this is what I want. And many people, even those who maybe have not known the Lord, there is a way they, you know, you feel something inside there and you feel like this is the way. So the Lord still speaks through that. So my first feeling was like, I was feeling I should be in the bush.
In the bush?
When I was in Faith Ventures, I was feeling I should be in the bush because, you know, the school where I was working,
Yes.
it was offering a Christian system. And so these kids had all the opportunities
You
to
know,
know
there's
the
a
Lord.
school called the bush. So it's nicknamed.
Nicknamed the bush, really?
Okay, you
You're not
felt
talking
you were.
about,
Yes.
the school, the bush.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the bush.
actual bush of a forest.
Yeah, I was like, I should
Like
be
John the Baptist
yeah,
in the
you
desert,
know,
in the
in the
bush.
interiors, you know, such a thing.
The bush,
So
the
now after that, at some point it was, you know, clear within my heart that it was now going out there into missions.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a journey of you know, struggling with, is this it, Lord? Because at some point after my now volunteership at TF, and now I am in Faith Ventures, I thought the Lord now is calling me to, you know, go out there, corporate now, you know,
money.
you know, and pursue and pursue those dreams
Yes.
that I had, you know.
Very important to Esther.
Yeah.
Very important, yes. to
Yeah,
me.
indeed, that's very key. So the Lord spoke to me one day after, you know, taking time to, you know, how you go to God and you are like, you know, Lord, I want to have clarity about this. I want to know, you know, where you're leading me. And I was like, the Lord gave me a verse in Philippians 2, and it's about Jesus Christ and how he left his glory above.
Oh, wow.
And you know, we don't even have, like, we're just given a picture, but we are told, you know, what no ear has heard, what no eyes have seen. That is what the Lord has prepared for those who love him. You know, so it's something that is beyond us, and that is where he left, and he came to us, sinners, people who are broken, you know, and not just that.
Yes.
The Bible goes to say that he humbled himself,
Yes.
even to the point of death,
Yeah.
even to death on the cross.
Oh, yes.
And so the question for me was like, now, if Jesus was God and he left, who are you?
Who are you?
Now, I rose up from that place of prayer and I said, Lord, yes, I am going.
Wow.
The Lord spoke.
Yeah.
And he spoke through his own
He
word.
spoke through his own word.
Wow.
I like that because sometimes it's very easy as Christians, especially when we want God to speak in a certain way. We say circumstances
Yeah.
seem to be leading that this is the way to go, but you're saying that we go back to the word, and it becomes a foundation of our convictions. Now I know you're a graduate, clearly, but you do not study missions. So Kenyatta University is not a theology school.
No.
So how did you go about that? The fact that you're probably not trained in missions, but here is the opportunities here. You're supposed to be a missionary. How did you go about that?
I would say the Lord had been working in my life. When I was in, I believe, should be second year, first semester, I did a course called Kairos, offered by Missions Campaign Network, who do mobilizing the church to support missions, and indeed everybody, you know, mobilizing everyone to support missions and to go for missions. So I did the Kairos course, and in fact, in that season, I got a burden to go out there. You know, but you know, after first year, you know, life continues, and you know, things slow down, and you're like, oh, maybe that was just something of then. This could be the decision or the direction that the Lord is leading me. Yeah. So when I was still in TF, I was able to do Kairos the second time, you know, a missions course, and that is when I got the impression to just go. Or I got the desire to go and visit, you know, a mission field out there, and so I went to Marsabit, and I was able to see what is really happening on the ground, you know, and that didn't leave me the same.
How was it?
You know, seeing people who
You know,
are...
when you say Marsabit and then you do your face like that, now someone imagines it was bad.
Hardship.
Yeah, hardship is there, of course, but I think the most critical thing is to see people who do not know the Lord, people who are living still bound by culture and many things, just doing things out of traditions, and they're there. And so that gave me a burden to pray for mission work. Yeah, that is where I began. Yeah, so that laid the foundation, but I would say I'm still not there. There's still opportunity to learn and know more in terms of how we should do this work.
Okay. Somebody looking at you as a gospel minister, how do you validate volunteership from a biblical point of view? Somebody who thinks, where is that in the Bible? I mean, who volunteers? From a biblical point of view, full-time.
Like full-time volunteership.
Yeah.
All right. It is there in the Bible, and right from the Old Testament.
Yes.
Israel had 12 sons, and out of those, God chose one tribe, and those were the Levites. The Levites were not supposed to be given an inheritance among the Israelites.
They're not supposed to get money.
They were not supposed to be given land,
Those
particularly land.
Just the one tribe.
Just one tribe,
Yes.
And God said, I am their inheritance.
Yes.
I am their inheritance. And he gave them a specific work. And their work was to help the priests, Aaron and his sons.
Yes.
And that is one of the key things. That shows us something, that the Lord calls people to ministry, because that was ministry then.
Yes.
And today we are still doing ministry.
Yeah.
So there are people that the Lord sets apart he sets apart to do his work in a full-time, we would say, full-time basis.
Wow.
And even as we continue with this discussion, how do you encourage somebody who is among those few that have been called out to do
At least
ministry?
you made it clear, quite clear,
that there are
that it's not for
specific
everyone,
people.
right?
Yes, yes. You like that part, don't you?
I like that beat.
Yeah.
I appreciate. Let me
That
not say I
bit.
like. I appreciate, because this is coming from someone who is experienced.
Yes.
And this is coming from someone who understands the word
Yes.
of God. And as long as you have taken a step to do something, you have a good understanding of why you went ahead and did it. And in case someone who's just watching us, we're talking about volunteering as a calling and full-time volunteering. And we have Mr. Macharia here, who's taking us through his journey of understanding, of making a choice and discerning the will of God over when he would go into full-time ministry, even as he was already professionally trained, a graduate, and ready to take off with his dreams. But the Lord, yes, did actually give him a detour in what he had thought that he would do. And this is a journey that he's taking us through. Yeah. So now here you are. The Lord has spoken. We have seen him speak.
Yeah.
At least we have even seen where he spoke from, and you have gone now into ministry. But now the question is, how the Lord is calling you to mission work. You have done teaching, and you said that you did a number of courses. That was Kairos. So what did it entail now to go into the mission field? Does that mean you take up your career and put it in the mission field, or how did you go about that? Because you can be in the mission field and you've been called, you go and plant a church. Like where you're going to minister. There are people who go and plant,
And
who
start
go
businesses.
and start businesses. I mean, in the mission field, as long as the Lord has called you to Garissa, but how did he minister to you, how you were going to evangelize, or how you were going to spread the gospel?
Now, when the door opened, the door was very specific in terms of what I would be doing there. I was connected to a friend by another friend, and I was told that there is an opportunity in a school now, like Badana, where the community was there, the classes had been built, but there was no teacher.
Wow.
And so for me, that was an answer to prayer. I am a trained teacher, and there is an opportunity, and it's actually like a call of, this is a great need, come and help us. And so I said, this is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah.
So you How long did you take to decide? Because now you're just talking about it, right? It seems like, I'm sure it wasn't something you just had the Lord and up you were living. How did you prepare, or how did the Lord prepare you now to transition from now doing the faith ministry at Faith Ventures to going into the mission field?
Yeah, I took quite some time. I got the impression in August, because in August holiday there were opportunities through the Teachers Service Commission of Employment in high schools, and during that time I really wanted to be in places far away from Nairobi, but I felt that was not the way to go, so I didn't apply for TSC. So now after that, I think that was the beginning step, even before God speaks about now going out to the field. Because now after declining that is when now the desire now really to go out there really became stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah.
Was there any opposition?
Oppositions were there.
Yes, especially from family members who care.
They care, and that is why they want to understand.
Yeah, they do care, yeah. I agree that they care. So challenges were there. And I think I've highlighted one of it. You know, when you're going to volunteership, especially in our age, when you are told, you know, go to university, and after you study, go look for a job. After that, you know, do all those other things, you know, have a house and you know, get married and all those things. And I'm not saying they are bad things. They are really good things. But when you're living in such a society, when you're going into volunteership, and I know many people attest to this, it's like you're swimming against the current. You are going against the tide. So that even from within yourself, you might feel, hey, sometimes is this the way, you know, if you've not developed conviction, that is, if you've not really come to say and understand this is a thing, it can be a challenge from yourself. And that is why now I had to deal with that with God, and, you know, I was finally free and I knew this is the way to go.
Yes.
But now the other challenge comes from, you know, the family. These are very important people to you. Your father and your mother or your guardian has worked with you all the way. They have seen you grow.
Yes.
And now, you are now at the peak of your career. And now you're out, I mean, at the peak of your education, and you're transiting to, you know, to go into career and
a better life.
you know, into a better life, as we were told.
Financially.
and you know.
Yeah.
So they had expectations. You know, like personally, I am like I would say the only learned person in my family, and I am the last one, you know. So there was a challenge. So in that season, I traveled home because I made a decision really to go now on December. I decided now I am going after doing a pre-visit to Garissa. So I went home, and after going home, I went to tell my parents about my decision, you know, as a way of honoring them, and also as a way of being accountable. I didn't want to go and they hear, oh, and call them and tell them, now I am in Garissa. So, what are you doing? How did you go there? And so many questions. And so I went and told them about my decision, but they really didn't really understand. They really wouldn't understand.
And it's expected, naturally.
Yeah, it's really expected, because from the expectation point of view, the question was, how would this God who led you to you know, to go to school and, you know, be in campus?
Yes.
And now after clearing, you are saying you want to go and volunteer. You are not even being paid. And, you know, your peers are around here. Actually, some have graduated and they have good jobs. And in fact, that time they wanted me to now go home. They wanted to tell me to go home and look for a job as a teacher. You know, so they are thinking you go this way. But now I'm going to tell them, now I'm actually not going to stay in Nairobi. I'm going further. So it was a challenge. And I agree. Because with the kind of society that we are in, it takes some time for you to know God and just walk with Him as you pray to Him and read in His Word, and you come to a point of understanding what really ministry is, you know. So I really understand them. I really understand their concerns. Yeah, yeah, so it was not that easy. Remember, you imagine being a lastborn, and your siblings are there, and you're talking, and you are in a discussion, and they really want to know.
Reminds
Yeah.
me of Joseph in the Bible.
Yeah.
And the
So,
things he used to say.
God helped me through that, because at some point there is nothing I could do.
Nothing.
At that point, I have talked to people. They have committed to pray and support me financially. Some of them. So it was really hard, a decision for me to make, because they have said, we are not together in this, And finally,
How
I
did
thank
you
God.
resolve it?
I thank God. After now discussing it, the next morning when I woke up, my dad told me, "You go.
Wow.
You
Wow.
go for 3 months, and then you will come back." And I thank God for using my dad in that way,
Yes.
And I'm really grateful that up to date the 3 months have never ended.
This is where you say, one day in the eyes of the Lord.
It's like 1,000 years.
Like 1,000 years.
Yeah, so
And fast forward, challenges in the field.
Because now you're already there.
Yeah.
You're settled, right? You're doing the
fulfilling your life's
ministry.
calling.
Exactly. How has it been?
Yeah, I would say it has been a time of learning, particularly to trust the Lord. Yeah, to provide and meet my needs as a volunteer.
Has He provided?
Yeah, He has provided. He has.
God is okay.
Yeah, he has been very faithful. He has indeed been so faithful. Yeah, so the challenges are there, especially now in my context, where you are working among a people that are of a different culture and of a different level of education.
Yes.
So those are the challenges. You are learned, but you're talking to someone who probably has never gone to school.
Yeah.
And so as you come and try to reason things out, you will not be at par. And it will take you time to repeat something,
And even the language barrier.
Language barrier was actually a major challenge when I went there. The school was having classes were there, but there were no children. So we began the school. We are the ones who began the school. So we were told, the rooms are there. Begin the school. So it's like you are the one to tell us what to do. You're in a community that has not, they have not been learned. They have not that exposure. So the challenge was there. Language barrier was one of the challenges. Now the class we received in 2017 January, that was now class 1. Many of the children did not know Kiswahili and they didn't know English.
Wow.
What do you tell them?
So I used to speak in Kiswahili. Now we thank God there are a few of the students who understood Kiswahili, and then they would translate in their mother tongue. And the challenge is there are 3 tribes in the class.
So you had 3
So
interpreters.
you must have 3 interpreters.
3 co-teachers.
Saying the teacher is saying this, and you have to trust that now. You just have to trust that the student is saying the right thing. Because
This is not where the teacher keeps saying, look here. How do you say look here? And then someone says the same thing in 3 languages.
That was a challenge.
Yes.
And we thank God that I thank God that He gave me the grace and my colleague to work with those children, even with all that interpretation bit. Yeah, so those are the 2 major challenges. I would also cite another one, but I believe we are coming to that, to support raising. I believe we are coming to that. It's a challenge. One, because people in our context have not really understood this bit. They have not really understood support raising. They wonder, why should you go out there and volunteer and you are a graduate? And so as you talk to people, ask them for support, it can be a challenge for them to support you if they have not really understood and identified with your vision.
When you talk of support, are you saying I pray for you, or what are you talking about?
Of course, prayer is one of the. Prayer is
are
one
you
of
saying,
the.
may the Lord provide? If I tell you, may the Lord provide, they have supported you.
That is, you have supported me in one way.
Yes.
But there is another way.
Yes.
I need to eat, and drink, and I should have a means of moving up and down,
Yes.
Yes.
So it's financial support.
Financial support.
Yeah.
Money. You wanted to hear
Money.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it can be a challenge, and it has been a challenge because people are not willing to come in. Okay, not like all of them, because the Lord still provides.
Yes,
but,
he's not
yeah, he's not limited in any way.
Yes.
But a concept that is not really understood, you have to come to the point of you are explaining what you do and everything and all that. So I think the other challenge is the fact of the real issues of life, economy. Inflation has come. Someone has lost a job and was your partner,
They can't do it
so
anymore.
they can't do it. Yeah, things have come and they are emergencies, and
Yeah.
they are not able to support. But the Lord is faithful. Even in those times, He faithfully provides. You know, the Bible says He's able to do exceedingly abundantly, above all that we can ask or imagine. So even in those times, in fact, I think those are the times I've really got to experience the Lord as He works. Sometimes people just send money, and you're like, look at my phone and M-Pesa, you have received from someone that probably you have has not like committed as a monthly partner, but that month God has used that person
a
to
lump sum
support.
Awesome.
Sometimes people will give you items, like someone will say, I have these lots of food, have some. Your budget of food is sorted, and that is one way the Lord provides.
Awesome.
And in fact, one thing I have learned this year is that we should not ask the Lord for the means to buy things. We're supposed to ask the Lord for provision of the specific things we need. If it's, I need a phone, pray to the Lord for a phone.
Don't ask Him for money.
Because he let it be on His own volition, on how He's going to provide. Because when you say, give me money for the phone, you are saying that now it has to be the phone. I mean it has to be the money. God is not limited.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Mr. Macharia. Now this is the time to encourage someone. Even as we, this session has been awesome. Even as we come to a close of this session, just encourage someone who's wondering, do I not? Is full-time volunteering my thing? Is this what I have been called to do? And just, encourage someone.
One of the things I would encourage is that let's go into the scriptures, especially
Talk to them.
Especially for Christians. Let's go into the scriptures and search the truth of God's word. What does the word of God say about volunteership? And once you have gained that conviction and you have really got to understand what it is, then you are able to move with all the courage, knowing that it is actually biblical. But from my own point of view, I would say if someone has been having that leading to volunteer, go out there, because the Lord is faithful. If He has been faithful to me for these 2015 up to 2018, those are now close to 4 years. He's been so faithful to provide all that I have needed. He's faithful to provide for you. And the other thing is that go out there, because if you don't go out there, you will miss out on God. Because when you miss out on what God is leading you to do, you're actually missing out on God, because it is in making a step of faith and following God that you get to experience and know the Lord more. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Macharia.
Karibuni
That
sana.
kind of an experience could only come from a man who has been on the ground, a full-time volunteer. But guys, let's keep it real. There's something called support raising, and we should support these missionaries. We should support everyone who has gone into full-time ministry, because money is key in the ministry. And now we'll be taking a short break. Thank you for watching this segment. Even as we continue, we'll definitely have a guest who's coming in after the break. And keep it Church O'Clock Show.